We're going to grow the country. We're going to grow jobs. We're going to be growing everything.
Republicans are closing in on tax reform. President Trump on a tweet storm saying Flynn's life is destroyed while crooked Hillary Clinton lied many times and nothing happened to her.
What has been shown is no collusion. No collusion.
ABC News suspends Brian Ross over serious error in his Trump-Flynn report.
One of the most recklessly dishonest reporters I've ever dealt with, and I've dealt with quite a few.
This latest missile launched by North Korea may have in fact broken up on re-entry to the Earth's atmosphere.
Every time he conducts a missile launch and nuclear test, he gets better.
Yeah, Ohio State beat Wisconsin.
Yes.
Sorry to remind you, your home state.
Sorry about that.
So does Ohio State get in the playoffs now?
I don't know. I honestly, I'm just not dialed into college football, I'm going to admit it.
Alabama's sort of on the bubble.
But
I'm not a sports person myself.
UCF is undefeated. I have some friends down in Orlando, and they keep telling me about UCF, Central Florida.
But are they big enough?
Don't forget about them. They're undefeated. They're not big, but they're undefeated. They're about the...
If you don't lose, you deserve to be in the playoffs.
Get a spot in there.
Generally, yeah.
So what do you think? Friends at FoxNews.com. We have so much more than just college football to do.
Football there, right there.
There is a lot of news today.
That's right. Tons of it. So a lot of it feels like it almost goes backwards, but we're learning more and more. First, a report in the Washington Post yesterday, and Fox News is reporting as well, that as far as Hillary Clinton's email investigation, which happened during the 2016, or it started in the middle of 2015, happened through 2016, it's under review as we now learn that an FBI agent involved in that investigation, as well as in the FBI Trump investigation, has been removed from the Russian special counsel probe for having political bias.
He was sort of detailed to the Mueller probe, and it turns out that he was sending text messages to another FBI official that seemed to be anti-Trump. Serious enough, this is not some crazy conspiracy theory, serious enough that Robert Mueller said, wait a second, we've got to pull the plug, we got to get this guy out of the special counsel probe so it doesn't look like it's anti-Trump. Well, is it too late? Is it, in fact, a big problem here?
And he's already weighed in on the Clinton. I mean, he was one of the ones in charge of the Clinton probe into her emails, and we saw what happened with that.
Worked closely with James Comey.
Exactly. So nothing happened there. We now know for sure that, and it wasn't just anti-Trump, it was pro-Hillary stuff, as we're hearing. And the House is asked to interview him because they noticed he wasn't in the investigation. And so they said, why isn't he here? And the FBI stonewalled, would not put this guy forward for the House to investigate, which they have oversight authority over him. And so, you know, you expect if you're the GOP under an Obama administration that you'll get stonewalled. This shows you how the deep state resistance works when even under a Trump administration, you've got this stonewalling.
That's a big
at the
question.
FBI.
Was the system rigged? Was it a situation where Hillary Clinton's email controversy, problem, whatever you want to call it, broke the law, and the FBI should have played it straight, starting with James Comey, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed, but this is why I think it matters to our viewers. I went back to Twitter. James Comey the last couple of days, particularly with the Michael Flynn guilty plea, has been on Twitter and Instagram on Thursday or Friday. But justice rolled down like waters and righteousness, like an ever-flowing stream. And I noticed the comments on social media, people across the country saying, hey, Comey, remember that time you were asked by Loretta Lynch to call the Hillary Clinton thing a matter and not an investigation? He's now all about, James Comey, truth, justice, the American way, righteousness. We have to follow the law. Why didn't they do that in the Hillary
And that's all you want, right? You want to believe that the Justice Department seeks justice blindly. And the concern here, the name of the agent under question who was moved off the investigation.
How do you say his name?
Peter Strzok, I think. He's been at the FBI for a long time. As you said, part of all the central things. He was part of the interview of Hillary Clinton, the one that happened off the record without a sworn oath, and 2 days later
James Comey had already drafted a statement before that interview, months before, saying, you know, there was no intent here to break the law. This was a problem.
This FBI investigator, Peter Strzok, was part of that process. He got the Russian dossier, the so-called Trump dossier that triggered the internal FBI investigation. He got moved onto the Mueller special counsel probe. Now it's revealed that while he was doing all of this, he was texting with somebody else, revealing personal political bias against Trump and for Hillary. So how can you look back at all those other investigations, let alone the Mueller special counsel?
And our James Rosen now
feel
reporting
like it's honest.
that Devin Nunes, the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, is all over this. They're looking, and that there's now a review of all of this. Nunes' statement in part, quote, by hiding from Congress and from the American people, documented political bias by a key FBI head investigator for both the Russia collusion probe and the Clinton email investigation. The FBI and Justice Department engaged in a willful attempt to thwart Congress's constitutional oversight responsibility.
Right, and I think they're seeking contempt of Congress charges potentially. And I'll say this person, I can't say his name, Peter...
I think it might be Strzok. He's got a Z in the middle there.
Okay, Strzok is just the only one that was stupid enough to write an email saying
or
text with his bias on there. I mean,
were there others part of this investigation?
And I'm sorry, I think Mueller himself does not come to this investigation without bias. He's friends with Comey.
Of course, and look at the campaign donations of all the Democratic lawyers involved in the special counsel. It makes you feel like the system is rigged, the deep state is real. They're here to block their people and block Trump's people and advance their own. The president took to Twitter, as only he can do, yesterday, talking about this topic with a series of tweets, pushing back, fighting back, saying to General Flynn, so General Flynn lies to the FBI and his life is destroyed, while crooked Hillary Clinton on the now famous FBI holiday interrogation with no swearing in and no recording, lies many times and nothing happens to her. Rigged system or just a double standard?
There's another tweet, too. Is many people in our country are asking what the Justice Department is going to do about the fact that totally crooked Hillary, after receiving a subpoena from the United States Congress, deleted and acid-washed 33,000 emails. No justice. I tell you, this is why he should not give up his Twitter.
The Justice
He
Department.
put justice in quotes.
He puts justice in quotes, and he reminds people in a way that we just know the mainstream media is never going to do about these double standards.
Absolutely. Yeah. Without this stuff never gets discussed.
Right. Exactly. And you know what is being discussed now? Brian Ross. This was what appeared to be a major scoop at the end of last week when General Flynn pleaded guilty. We can't forget that. He pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI. So it's not like there are not problems on the Trump side of this. But Brian Ross goes out on ABC News, a special report, and reports as fact that what General Flynn will report against, will reveal against President Trump and his top aides is allegedly, which turns out to be wrong, that President Trump ordered General Flynn to reach out to the Russians during the campaign. And that suggested there may be collusion. Well, ABC starts walking it back. Remember, the stock market took a nosedive after that, suggesting this could lead to impeachment or something. ABC starts walking it back. First calls it a clarification that actually this happened after the election, not during the campaign. They later, under pressure, have to say, actually, it's a correction. It was completely wrong. Last night, again under pressure, ABC says they are suspending Brian Ross for 4 weeks without pay. Quote, we deeply regret and apologize for the serious error we made yesterday. The reporting conveyed by Brian Ross during the special report had not been fully vetted through our editorial standards process. This is where, when the president talks about fake news, and a lot of people in the mainstream media say, this is unfair, he's going after us, he's attacking us. If you're going to get not a little story, but you're going to get a big, big story about this investigation wrong, you are just going to give this president a lot more fodder. And the American people are going to say, you know what? This is pushed against him. When you're going out there without vetting a story like this.
And by the way, this isn't the first time that Brian Ross has gotten a big story wrong. If you recall, during the the movie theater shootout, the massacre in Aurora, Colorado, he came out and said it was a Tea Party person who shot up the movie house, which turned out to be wrong.
A lot of people have said that
So he seems to have a bias. I mean, why would he say a Tea Party person?
Because he's got an ideological motivation hiding behind the code of a journalist. These stories are the same. The thread is the same between the deep state and what is being done to this president and the media. It's just the media has to report about it. They have to go public, either on TV or in writing, and we get to dissect whether or not it's biased or not. The deep state gets to hide behind anonymity. We don't know who Peter Strzok. I mean, we don't really know him.
That's right.
And yet he was holding vast power.
So much power.
He was holding vast power about whether or not Hillary Clinton was going to face criminal charges over the email probe, and vast power then, fast forward, the same guy is over with Robert Mueller deciding the fate of General Flynn, of maybe President Trump, and all the people in that universe.
Powerless that makes someone like us feel when you're like, okay, so the deep state's rigged, and then they're handing stories to rigged reporters who are then disseminating fake news. No, if that's a chain that you start to see, you start to feel like the whole thing is stacked against you, especially if you're
and this is why the president, again, takes to Twitter to comment on Brian Ross. He says, congratulations to ABC News for suspending Brian Ross for his horrendously inaccurate and dishonest report on the Russia witch hunt. More networks and papers should do the same with their fake news. I mean,
that sounded like Pete for a second.
I know. Did you help him with that tweet?
No.
But this is why you shouldn't give it up, because, again, they'll make a correction. ABC will make a correction. They'll suspend Brian Ross, and then they want to kind of move on. And the president, because he has millions and millions of followers and has this bully pulpit as never before seen on social media, he can bring back to our attention.
And you're going to have people now jump in and say, why are you talking about Hillary Clinton? Why are you talking about the Hillary Clinton email? She's off the stage. You know what? Actually, she's not. Now she's weighing in. She won't leave, and she's weighing in on the tax plan. Watch.
In the last 24 hours, the Senate passed this absolutely horrible tax cut plan. It's great for Donald Trump and his family, but it's going to make life much harder for middle-class families and poor families. It even cuts the tax deduction for teachers who buy supplies for their classrooms and their students. Heaven forbid if you buy some extra books or crayons or audiovisual or laptop help, anything. This could not be a more blatant and insulting attack on hardworking Americans. And we can't let them get away with it.
In case you missed it, hard-hitting interview on Teen Vogue.
You know what, though, Pete? Do not mock Teen Vogue, because I'm going to tell you what, this is something the Democrats do very well, which is they infiltrate culture and places where conservatives don't go or think is beneath them. And I look at this and I said, you know what? I think she's lying about the plan. We saw actually the Senate bill doubled the tax for teachers, or the deduction for teachers.
She's referring to an old bit from the House bill, the Senate bill. We had a tax expert on the show yesterday saying that tax break for teachers has actually been doubled. Now it has to go to conference committee, so we'll see where it winds up. But also, how about
she's reaching out people who with a lot of disinformation, and you know. That's the future.
What about how she framed it at the beginning? This is great for Donald Trump's family, but what about the middle class? As if the Clinton family is middle class? I mean, just don't miss that part.
Or as if she didn't look at the tax plan as well, because you talk a lot of wealthy people who feel like they're going to get slammed by this ultimately, and you know, it's up for debate as far as how much it'll benefit some within the middle, but they're certainly trying to cut them for as many people.
You have to wonder though why the White House immediately after passing this tax cut through the Senate for what's supposed to be geared for the middle class comes here to New York City. The traffic around here was nuts yesterday because he was going from fundraiser to fundraiser. That's not my complaint. My complaint is you're trying to sell this as helping the middle class, and you come into a series of fundraisers within hours after the vote with the moneyed class, the elite here in New York City that Pete likes to beat up on.
Agreed, but I will say this, the people who are complaining most are people from high-income states with high incomes themselves.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
We got a big show coming up. Tom Fitton. He has been digging into Hillary's email scandal for years. He wants to know why. We're just hearing about the FBI agent being removed now.
And we've been debating it for weeks. Which is better, real or fake Christmas trees? Our own Tom Shalhoub will be here to defend why he is going with fake trees.
Fake trees, fake trees.
They're the best. We are back with a Fox News alert and our top story on this Sunday morning. An FBI agent removed from the Mueller investigation after he sent anti-Trump and pro-Hillary Clinton text messages.
And it turns out the agent was involved in the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails.
So do these developments put the new probe under scrutiny, even more scrutiny? Here to react, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Tom, thanks for being here this morning.
Good to be with you.
So tell us, this can get a little convoluted with all the investigations. Tell our audience, why does this development matter?
Well, this particular FBI agent was one of the top agents investigating Hillary Clinton. And it turns out he was an anti-Trumper, pro-Hillary Clinton person, according to the New York Times and Washington Post this weekend. And he had to be removed from the Mueller investigation. So there are a few questions. What was his involvement in the Clinton email investigation? And what was his involvement in the Trump-Russia investigation?
Right.
So with the Clinton email investigation, did he grant immunity to all those people? Did he make the decision to go soft on Hillary Clinton in the interview process? Did he ignore all the obstruction of justice? Was he responsible for allowing all that to go by unnoticed? And then with the Trump-Russia investigation, really serious, because he was a top counterintelligence official within the FBI. Was he involved in the dossier? Was he involved in these FISA warrants where Trump team was targeted with wiretaps, and maybe Trump Tower and Trump himself? The ambush interview of General Flynn that led to his criminal prosecution and plea deal. Was he involved in that? Both investigations, in my view, you can have zero confidence that they were done fairly as a result of this person's involvement. No wonder they've been covering it up for months.
Covering it up. We've had Representative Devin Nunes asking why he was removed from the investigation, getting stonewalled by the FBI. I'd say when I hear this, and we were kind of alluding to this a little earlier, when I hear this, it's more than these investigations. This is causing, I think, Americans to really lose confidence in our system of justice in general. It's even bigger than Hillary and Trump.
What type of operation was being run over at the FBI and the Justice Department that a senior guy like this thought he could get away with what he was doing? Texting his girlfriend in the FBI, which was a problem, you know, in and of itself, and basically walking around highlighting the fact he was anti-Trump.
Right.
I can't imagine others didn't know about his views here, and the idea he was anywhere near this investigation. On top of this, the number 2 at the FBI, Andrew McCabe, you know, we've uncovered documents showing his involvement with the Clinton investigation, and the fact that he was working with Terry McAuliffe, Hillary Clinton's buddy in Virginia, to help his wife get into office, taking $500,000+ from his operation.
Was the fix in? Do we need to go back and look at those previous
I've reopened the Clinton investigation. If I were President Trump, look, the Justice Department and the FBI, they had their chances here, and they've been covering up what's been going on. And they need some outside people to come in and audit what went on. You can't believe anything they did with the Clinton investigation. It raises questions about that, and raises questions about fundamental issues related to the Mueller investigation. Maybe they need to pause the Mueller investigation. I'm not a fan of the investigation at all. I don't think the special counsel should be operating at all. But in the least, there's got to be an examination of what went on, and maybe a pause in the least on the Mueller investigation till we're assured that there's no politics involved.
Sure, there never should be. That's why the president's calling it the Justice Department right now. Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, well, the NFL is committing $90 million to social justice causes in response to the anthem kneelers. But will it keep the players from protesting today? We'll watch.
And we all remember this commercial saying chicken soup helps fight off a cold. But is that really true?
Good morning again. Some headlines now and a Fox News alert. Police have found what appears to be the body of missing 3-year-old Mariah Woods. Authorities in North Carolina making the discovery in a creek about 25 miles from her home. A medical examiner now working to confirm the identity. Mariah's mother's live-in boyfriend has been charged with concealing her death. She was first reported missing, you'll remember, on Monday. And a very scary moment on the basketball court. Medical personnel racing to save a player's life after collapsing on the floor.
Very emotional here, and the EMS and the EMT folks here at PNC Arena and with NC State were out on the floor immediately.
An athletic trainer performing CPR on Ty Solomon of South Carolina State, reviving him as he lay unconscious. Medics say he went into cardiac arrest. He's now conscious and alert at a local hospital. And National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster has a grim new warning about North Korea.
Every time he conducts a missile launch and nuclear test, he gets better.
Has the potential of war with North Korea increased since this latest launch?
I think it's increasing every day.
The comments, as you see, to our own Brett Bure at the Reagan Library, they come as 6 of our military's most powerful stealth fighter jets fly to South Korea for military drills. It's in response to North Korea's latest missile launch, which U.S. officials now say broke apart on re-entry.
So we've all heard the saying that chicken soup has the power to cure a cold.
Nothing melts away the cold like a delicious hot bowl of Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
Let it snow, let it snow.
But now a new University of Nebraska study says it really does help ease cold symptoms. So Is this true?
Well, here to help us decipher fact from fiction as we guess, because we don't really know anything, from Winter Health Myths is the Doctor of Family Medicine, Dr. Mike Varshavsky. We'll just call you Dr. Mike.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you so much.
We all grow up with, I don't know if they're old wives' tales or your dad tells you something so you believe it. I'm from Minnesota. You know, always wear a stocking cap. It's like what it drilled into you at the age of 6. So you've got some of these myths for us, or not myths. You're going to introduce.
Well,
yes,
I'm looking forward to see what you guys know about this, because some people believe these things and some people are firmly against it. They're skeptics.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what you guys think.
Okay, so chicken soup helps you fight a cold. Is that true or not?
All right, let's see it. Let's see your answers. But we should do it at the same time so no one's cheating.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Fact, fact, fact. Look at that. It's because you guys had the study in front of you that's cheating a little.
Is it true? So it's true, right?
So actually it is true. Grandma beat science on this one and knew it before us. So the way that it works is it eases some of the cold symptoms by having anti-inflammatory factors.
But can I ask you, Dr. Mike, does that count if it's canned? I'm a homemade soup maker, but does it work if it's canned soup?
So this study actually tested 17 brands, and almost all of them had the anti-inflammatory effect. Yeah. Pretty cool. Fact. Grandma, good job.
Okay, so I'm a mom. I'm always telling my kids to put on their hats. I live in Wisconsin. It's cold. Is that a fact?
Most of your heat is lost through your head. I was always taught that.
All right, let's do it on
fact.
Okay, we got fact. Fact.
Yeah.
No. Fiction on that one. I know.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know where that came from? There was a study done in the 1950s on soldiers wearing heavy Arctic gear, no hat, and they ended up losing the majority of their heat through their heads. Duh! They're not wearing anything on their heads. It's the only part that's exposed. So if you expose any body part, that's the place you're going to lose majority of your heat. Okay. Your head is not more special.
Special about nothing. I feel like maybe there's pores in your hair.
But it will still help you if you wear a hat.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm not saying not to wear a hat, but
so what about you need sunscreen even in the winter, not just in the summer, but in the winter? Fact or fiction?
Let's see it.
I mean, I think I'm going to get this wrong, but all right.
It's a fact.
Oh, it's a fact. I did get it wrong.
I feel like if it's cold out, you can't get sunburned.
So,
I mean, that's definitely
you're right. you are right in a sense, because you can get sunburned because there are 2 types of UV rays that occur in the atmosphere, UVA and UVB. UVB are the ones that cause that sunburn. They happen more when it's summertime, the sun is closer to the earth. But UVA rays, which can occur all times of the year, they penetrate clouds. Those are the ones you're protecting yourself by wearing SPF in the winter. And not just against cancer, premature aging as well, and that's really important.
All right. Mom
you
always
just be like me and hibernate in your house in the winter and don't leave, and then you don't have to wear it.
And Mom always says that you'll catch a cold if you go outside with wet hair.
Okay, let's see it. What do you guys think?
Bingo.
Fact, fiction, fiction.
Well, if it's cold, right?
If it's cold, walking out with wet hair, technically fiction.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rachel. Yeah.
I'm giving my kids all this bad advice.
I mean, I guessed on that, but it does seem like you'd be more prone to get sick.
So technically, it's fiction, but you are more prone because when you're chilled, your body will weaken its immune system and can catch a cold. But the cold comes from a virus. So it's not really related to wet hair. It's not really related to being cold, but it does predispose you to it. So I guess everybody can win on that one.
So I'm not wrong.
Everybody's
I'm not wrong.
So everybody gets a trophy, Dr. Mike. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Doctor.
it. Well, the NFL is committing $90 million to social justice causes in response to all those anthem kneelers. But will it keep the players from protesting today when the games turn on?
And many people have questions about the tax plan just passed by the Senate, including the impact on small businesses. Our panel of actual small business owners here with what they want next.
In the history of the country, the largest tax cuts and reform. We're going to grow the country. We're going to grow jobs. We're going to be growing everything.
President Trump confident tax cuts will bring big growth to the country. So how will the Republicans' plan actually impact small business owners? Joining us now is a panel, yes, of actual small business owners, not just pundits. Jennifer Knapp is the owner of Woody's Roadside Tavern. Mike Sorrentino is the founder of iPatchCase.com. And Dr. Diane Hess is founder of Gramercy Pediatrics. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Jennifer, I want to start with you. I understand you're a supporter of the plan. Briefly explain what your business does, and then tell us why you like the plan.
Well, I have a restaurant. So we're an LLC, so that pass-through tax deduction is going to be huge for us.
And that means that you're not paying the corporate tax, you're paying?
Well, as an LLC, we have to pass through our income. It goes onto my ordinary income, an individual. So being able to take that 23% deduction
is going to be a big difference than what you would normally pay.
Yeah, now I can invest that back into my business.
Diane, you're not as big of a supporter. So tell us briefly about your business and why you don't like the plan.
So I am a pediatrician, and from what we understand, because I understand it's still changing and it can change right now, that professionals are going to be cut out of the pass-through benefit, I would say, because I don't manufacture something.
Right.
So from what I understand, doctors, lawyers, accountants, consultants are not going to be able to benefit through the pass-through. So for me, it's not a big benefit at all.
And so
I don't get that money to reinvest in my company.
Right. And what about you, Michael? What does iPatch.com do?
So iPatch case is it's a phone case that incorporates a switch that allows you to like cover and block your camera. So it's pretty cool. I have a number of independent contractors, freelancers that are working for me now that I'd like to make full-time in the new year. I'm optimistic about this pass-through benefit, this pass-through cut that's going to allow us to have more income, keep more of our income so that I can actually employ people. Which is great. The state and local issue of the state and local taxes.
You're in this area of New York, New Jersey.
Yes, it is a big issue.
It means you're more likely to pay more money.
Correct. I love working and living in New York. It's very expensive. The price we pay of being able to do business here is costly. Being able not to deduct those taxes is going to really take you.
So on balance, do you like the plan or no?
Overall, I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
Jennifer, you said you like the plan, but there's this question about whether small businesses are going to actually take the money and put it in their pockets, or will you reinvest it in the business? Will this actually create more economic growth?
Well, I'd love to have a full-time bookkeeper. I'd love to make some building improvements that we've put off. I'd love to do all those things. I'd also love to do some more charitable things. So that would give me a little more wiggle room in my budget.
So do you think you will do that because of this plan, or are you still kind of on the fence about reinvesting the money?
I'd like to see where it goes, but of course I'd be happy to reinvest in my business.
So that might be actually something that the president has been touting that will work out. Okay, but Diane, you've been a skeptic of this. So what's your sense about whether or not this is the kind of thing where if you have more money in your pocket, you're going to actually invest it in your profession?
Right. I have 12 employees right now, and I want to grow my business. And, as you know, in medicine, it's hard to be in private practice as it is. So hospitals are eating up private practices. And I've been able to stay in New York City and live in New York City, keep my kids here. But if the taxes keep on going up, I already see that some of my patients, I mean, within a week, I had like 3 record requests to transfer to Connecticut. People, it's hard to stay in New York.
Right.
And I want to grow my business, and I want to have more than 12 employees. I want to have another doctor. I want to, be more competitive. So what I was reading last night was that perhaps professionals are going to be able to restructure their businesses instead of being an S Corp to be a C Corp. Maybe we can benefit. So, but I think
Michael, bottom line for you moving forward, how much of an impact will this have on actual small businesses?
I think if they follow through on their promises of truly letting us keep a lot more of the money that we can then reinvest it into employing others. However, I am skeptical, as we always should be, about Congress. And, the president seems like will sign whatever they give him.
It sounds like on balance, many of you think that this can help the economy, but the devil will be in the details and how it actually plays out.
Exactly.
And I appreciate you all being here.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Rachel.
Turning now to your headlines. The Trump administration pulling out of another UN pact. The U.S. informing the UN it will no longer take part in the global compact on migration. The White House says the New York Declaration, which pledges to help refugees and migrants resettle, doesn't align with U.S. immigration policies. This comes after the U.S. pulled out of another global pact, the Paris Climate Agreement, back in August. Baltimore police now asking the FBI to take over the investigation into an officer who was killed in the line of duty. The police commissioner's request prompted by a lack of information after learning Detective Sean Suter was scheduled to testify in a federal police corruption probe the day after he was shot. Detective Suter was shot and killed with his own gun after a struggle with an unknown suspect last month. Right now, investigators do not believe that there's a connection between his planned testimony and his death. NFL players expected to keep disrespecting our flag during today's games. This despite the NFL making a deal with players to contribute nearly $90 million to social justice causes. The deal reportedly causing a divide amongst the players. Eagles safety Malcolm Jenkins saying he will no longer raise a fist during the anthem. Others saying this deal is not enough. And college football teams fighting for a spot in the 14 playoff. Defending champs Clemson steamrolling the Miami Hurricanes in the ACC title game 38-3. And Georgia showing Auburn their win against Alabama was just a flash in the pan, winning the SEC championships 28-7. And it was a close call in the Big Ten. Ohio State and Wisconsin trying to sneak out of that with a final playoff spot.
Brook delivers. Intercepted, Ohio State.
Sadly for Wisconsin, the Buckeyes come out on top 27-21. The selection committee will now decide whether Ohio State or another team gets the 4th spot. We asked you at home who you want to see get the spot. Heather says emails. Heather sent us an email. She says UCF deserves to be in the national championships 12-0. Record is amazing. Go Knights. We love UCF.
They were listening to you, Ed.
That's right. And those are your headlines.
I've got some friends, Dave and Terry in Orlando, and they love UCF, and they have been talking about them for a while. They're undefeated. Wisconsin went down. They had been undefeated. Ohio State wins, so that means, well, maybe they should get in, but they have 2 losses, as I recall. They lost to Oklahoma.
I say we launch an effort on this program, University of Central Florida, for the 4th spot.
The little guy.
Why not? The little guy. I mean, this is why all the same
the little
teams,
engine
they got
could.
losses, whatever. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's like a Hoosiers
Ohio State's got 2
style.
losses. I know I'm going to hear from Ohio.
All right. It's true you will. Outrage is boiling over Kate Steinle's killer as he's acquitted of murder. So why did one network completely ignore the coverage?
Oh, boy. And we've been debating it for weeks. Which is better? Real or fake news? Real or fake Christmas trees? Christmas trees. Our Tom Shalhoub here to defend why he's going fake.
So passionate about it, he wrote an op-ed about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.